Yesterday I mentioned how power is one of the themes that we see running throughout the book of Ephesians. Another theme we see is the importance of unity and all believers working and contributing to the unity of the church. Unity is one of those things that I think the Apostle Paul would say, if you're not actively working for the unity of the church and of God's people, then you're actually working against it because you're not contributing your energy and your effort to the system. And in Ephesians chapter 4 and verse 13, Paul says, and he's writing about what God has done and is doing in and through the church and God's plan, if you will, for the corporate maturity of all of us who are a part of the church. And he talks about different gifts that are given to different people. And then he says in verse 13 that the purpose of giving gifts, the purpose of there being pastors and evangelists and teachers and prophets, is to equip the saints for the work of the ministry, for building up the body of Christ. And our verse then is, until all of us come to the unity of faith and of the knowledge of the Son of God, to maturity, to the measure of the full stature of Christ. So part of what Paul is saying, the whole goal for you and for me as a follower of Jesus is we are to grow up into the full measure of Christ. So we are to become mature. I mean, we would think something was wrong if a baby was born and it never grew and it never matured, and if a baby never became a toddler, and if it didn't grow up and go to school, right? I mean, can you imagine if a baby just stayed the same size and it never grew and never developed and just got old? It would seem ridiculous and terribly, terribly wrong. And it's also terribly wrong in the church. You know, we are all to grow up. We are to mature. And this is something we see in several New Testament letters being lamented in Hebrews and in Peter, for example, about moving beyond spiritual milk to spiritual meat, if you will, to something more substantive. And so Paul is encouraging all of us, that we are to work and to serve and to help bring about unity in the body by contributing our gifts and what we can do. And all of us are to grow in our knowledge of the Son of God. We're to grow in our knowledge of Jesus, which is why we read the Bible, hopefully watch devotions like this, attend worship, listen to sermons. The whole idea, why do we do this? We do it so we can grow in our knowledge of Christ and who Christ calls us to be and how Christ calls us to live, so that we can become mature like Christ. So I pray, as you think about our verse today from Ephesians 4:13, that you will be a person who works for unity and not for division or any other purpose, and that you will keep focusing on growing so that you don't end up like some little baby Christian who never made it to preschool or elementary school or middle school or high school or advanced degree levels when it comes to the life of the Spirit. Keep on growing.